Good morning, Hacksters! Today is another Tuesday, and we're talking to Kutluhan Aktar about his independent research projects and all kinds of cool inventions that you've created in order to make people's lives better. Good morning. How's it going?
Thanks so much. How are you? Hi, everyone. I am glad to be here today as a guest. I
We're
hope
so
it will
glad
be
to
good
have
for everyone.
you.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
So Kutluhan has published a ton of projects on Hackster. I want to take a look at some of those. Tons of projects use AI and on all kinds of different platforms and stuff. But most recently, this AI-driven dental cast model classifier and a food irradiation dose detector with edge impulse. Oh my gosh. So let's start with the dental one, if you would.
Yeah, actually, I have some subscriptions to some science magazines and other sites to learn about the trends and most recently conducted experiments on science. So 1 month ago, I was reading an article about the how the 3D printing technology is applied to detect dental problems and make the patients more comfortable actually, because when you use 3D
Ah,
printing scanning, they don't need to do mostly oral exams. They can easily scan your mouth and work on the dental technicians work on this 3D scanned
ah,
model and detect easily these problems. And
nice.
also it gives them the opportunity to send them to multiple dentists
Right.
or maybe worldwide to discuss and find the exact problem. But there's a handicap in this because since the 3D printing is relatively a new technology in dentistry, most of
Mm-hmm.
the dental technicians do not have much experience in 3D printers and how to use them to create more pristine models to work on and show the patients. When I read
Mm.
this article 1 month ago, I thought maybe I can implement machine learning and object detection to classify 3D printed models and their accuracy for the
Cool.
for help the dental technicians. Uh, this project detects the accuracy of the printed model instead of detecting the dental problem directly
Okay.
because it will require a more big model than I am working on. But for now, it is quite working good.
That makes a lot of sense because, as I think as technologists, a lot of times we're excited to jump in and try to like solve health diagnoses problems. I see a lot of this, people like, oh, I'm going to diagnose this and diagnose that with AI. But we do have a lot of good data on how to classify whether a 3D print is successful or not. I love this. So it's sort of a helper for people who are 3D printing for maybe the first time and stuff.
Yes,
Would would you be able to
when I
generalize this to other types of 3D prints?
yes in this project, I can show some 3D prints.
Oh, please.
Uh, Mostly they use resin 3D printers, SLA 3D printers
Uh-huh.
to print dental models because they can show more details and
Ah.
they can print the dental models easily like this. This is a this is a resin 3D. I use the resin
Wow.
3D printer to print that. Also, I use a dental castable resin to print this. Actually, it's a
Mm.
special model, not a normal resin, but uh, say the same resin structure used by the dental technicians. This is a resin 3D model, but they try to in that article they said they try to use some FDM 3D printers also because they are more cheaper than resin 3D
Right.
printers. So I also try to use this printed by an FDM 3D printer.
Hmm.
So there are three different models, one resin and one FDM. I tried some different dental models like this. Also, I bought this model, purchased them from cast dental real dental cast. They are real
Ah.
dental casts on cast3d.com. I purchased them. They sell them from the real dental technicians and some dentistry students. They scan this 3D model and sell them on that site. So I bought. They are actually some real person's teeth.
Wow, cool. Oh, I have some really fun casts of my own teeth because I've had the pleasure of having a ton of dental work done, which is definitely better than the alternative. I feel very lucky, but you know, it's really fun. Like sometimes I have been able to get little 3D prints of my teeth and stuff, or like the little
Yeah,
models that they do to like fit a crown or like other dental
yeah, they are very interesting because
procedures.
you can see how how your dental model show maybe model dies or some dental problems easily with this without otherwise they always have to check and make an oral exam for you when
Yeah.
they start to think a new diagnosis maybe, but with this when they think something they can actually open the computer and print a new model, then try that. Also they can use this model to design their implants.
Mm.
They can easily try to do that their implants or some maybe treatments or ailments for the patients easily with
Yeah.
that.
I love how you mentioned that doctors could use this to collaborate across distances and send it to someone maybe in another country or another part of the world in order to get another opinion or whatever. And also, this seems like it could be really helpful for education for, because they always need
Yeah, yeah,
practice and
yeah.
working on this
Dentistry
versus that. Mm.
students actually now there are some university they ask them to scan their patients' teeth and create this model. They use
Cool.
actually plaster or malleable dough to create this model before this 3D printed technology, but now they are uh, teaching them resin 3D printing in some of universities, not all of them, but some of them.
Wow, yeah. So tell us about the whole project. So what happens after it takes a look at the 3D print, and how does it detect what the different types are?
Of course, I can show you. Uh, I have the model here.
Yes.
Uh, I actually first of all I designed this case for this project.
Mhm.
You can download and print it on my Hackster account. I share the STL files. Uh, I also add this to here just for fun reasons actually. Yeah, there here a sliding cover for the project, so I can show you how this works in here.
Cool.
Yeah, I designed it to protect from dust or other things that affect the development board because I use a Sony SpeedSense board in this project,
Mhm.
and as Sony camera here it is see and detects the dental model and
Mm.
showed the real-time results on the screen. Uh, ELI 9341, I suppose. If
Mm.
yeah, it's correct.
Yeah,
I
I've got it on the project here.
yeah. The first of all, this project can do two things. First, that data collection, and then running the object detection model to detect dental cast accuracy. To collect detection, I added here three buttons.
Ah.
Ne-
I love how your breadboards match the project. That's amazing.
Yeah, actually, I love to do that. I don't have to show the breadboard or these jumper wires, but I love to add them. I think it's add more a steampunk vibe to this
Yeah.
project like this.
Absolutely.
I always add a breadboard or some jumper wires display. I like to display them because it adds steampunk vibe, and I love steampunk projects, science fiction projects. I love
Wonderful.
to show them. Thanks. Uh, this these three buttons represents three different classes in my project. One of them cast, fails, and implant.
Mm.
I cast means that the correctly printed 3D model like this. It
Mhm.
is correctly printed, and fails. It's that it's failed somewhere, some loose teeth or 3D printer didn't print the model accurately or pristine to show the all details.
Mhm.
And implant means that the little teeth implant print. It shows its accuracy if it's correct or not. First of all, I collected lots of when I press this button, it adds its class to its file name and then save the captured pictures to the SD cards or connected to the Sony Presence
Mm.
expansion board. Then after I collected pictures for all three different classes, I removed the SD card and uploaded them to Edge Impulse to create my model.
Mhm.
Then I create my model. After creating my model and Edge Impulse, I uploaded them on Sony Presence and run it directly. Then when it sees the like this in this camera frame sees the dental model casts, it automatically separates them under under the train tree classes and show the detection results in the bounding boxes on the screen real time.
I love how you have these sort of distinct aesthetic identities for each of your projects, and this one is really coming through. But yeah, the functionality is amazing, and you've also created these uh, wonderful enclosures. You work a lot with 3D prints yourself, so I imagine that it was pretty easy for you to create. I mean, I don't know, how easy was it for you to create the model for this for Edge Impulse? Because you had to train it first before you can use it to classify.
Yeah, it took 2 months. 2 months. Finished this product 2 months. Most of it I worked on the model. I can design 3D models easily than creating the models because I have some experience and I like to rehearse my projects before creating them.
Right.
Actually, I create this design even before training or building my model.
Haha. Did you have to intentionally fail some prints in order to train your model?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I can.
Wow.
Actually, they are not here, but yeah, I stopped the 3D printer in half, or I
Mhm.
I modified the model and removed some essential parts to print some failed models.
That's so cool. I'd love to
I
take a look. Oh, sorry, go on.
you know, I think I can show my Edge Impulse model page to show my data
Oh,
for.
please.
This is my Edge Impulse project, public project, so you can download the model directly here or add your own data if you want to use this model in your projects. It's open source now. Such as this is my implant data.
Mm.
I I collected them as I explained earlier. I captured these pictures and saved SD card. Then I removed the SD card and upload these pictures on Edge Impulse to train my model. This is a failed model, an explanation of failed model. This model does not have all the teeth, just have the lower jaw, but does not have all the teeth. Failed model.
Mm.
This is cast, perfectly printed cast. I collected this data, then labeled them on Edge Impulse. It is actually easy. Just you upload your photos here and uh, draw a bounding box and enter your label, and it automatically create a label structure for you to train your model. Then after I created my impulse here, you can see my classes cast, failed, and implant. For image data, the model turns the captured images from RGB format to grayscale, so you can use other.
Ah.
So you can it is I forgot to mention, but it's a FOMO model, faster
Mhm.
objects, more objects, Edge Impulse's new novel model, object detection model. So you can use this model on OpenMV cameras or or connect a camera with Arduino Blade or other boards. You can use this model on any boards which is compatible with Edge Impulse.
Nice.
So after training my model, I get 84%, nearly 85% accuracy score. And since it uses very low flash and RAM, you can run it on Sony Spring Sense without any problem, or Raspberry Pi.
Awesome. Yeah, this new FOMO model. I'm just gonna show people really quick. This is a new way of detecting objects from edge impulse, like Kutluhan was just saying. Yeah, FOMO. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to show us about this project before we move on? It has the cool 3D printing, or it has the cool thermal printer aspect as well. Like prints
Yeah,
you out a little report.
yeah. I added that because I think it will be cool to detect the accuracy directly and show the results for other people. Just printed it and show it. I just want to add. Actually, I thought it will be fun to add this feature to print the results, but after adding that, I thought it would be very useful because maybe you do not want to. Maybe you can hang it on some wall and the other dental technicians can see the results. Oh, this model number, maybe third model number we print today is not as accurate as we thought, so we can rework on
Mm,
it. I thought that
yeah.
because I have some dentist friends and they usually take notes and post it on some wall to remind other technicians how to work on that. So I thought maybe it will
Oh,
be
cool.
helpful.
This would be a lot more legible, especially if it were me, it was like the handwriting, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
lovely.
I
So,
I can show the thermal printer actually. I think I
ooh,
can
sure.
show that too. It is the thermal printer model I used
Uh-huh.
from the Robot.
I love thermal printers. I think they're so cute, and yeah,
They are
totally
very.
useful in
I
lots
think
of
they are
places.
very useful.
Mhm. It's
Yeah,
the best
they're
combination, cute and useful.
yeah, I think so. Uh, it has three different interfaces you can use. Uh, so according to your project, you can all use it with Robot boards or any boards you want because it's working with serial. It works on serial ports, so you can use
Oh,
it actually any board you want without any restrictions.
nice.
Yeah,
So this project
that's
is really generalizable. Both the model runs on a ton of different boards because it can work with resource constraints, and then also this printer can work with all kinds of different boards. It's really adaptable. Love it.
yeah. I choose to make projects adaptable because I think open source projects should be like that. If you only work this project on some definitive products, it doesn't reach more people and help them to solve their problems. So I always like to make them adaptable.
Nice. Speaking of which, let's talk about another project of yours that got pulled up here. The IoT AI-driven food irradiation dose detector with edge impulse. I love the idea of this one, and I also love that you put a Hulk on top of it. Just actually, just before we jump in here, Kutlan makes these amazing 3D models for all these different projects, and also a bunch of different PCBs. This one is not showing, but
Yeah,
yeah, you've got like Batman PCBs, Iron Man PCBs,
yeah.
this like
I
Kirby
I saw that you
Pikachu
show
man.
you add the Iron Man PCB to the thumbnail, so I brought their model here.
Yes!
Iron Man. Yeah, if if you do not tell, I am a huge nerd and geek. I love I love adding my projects. What I love, what I want to show people that you can create a very practical projects, but also do it with fun designs. I think
Mhm.
I like to make these projects with these designs because I think it is the maker's way. You create something new and you should able to do its designs according to your interests.
Yeah, and, oh, I had a question about that. Oh, yeah. Do you take inspiration from any of these series for your projects? Or have you built anything that you saw in a movie or a comic book or whatever, and you're like, "Oh, I had to build that."
Uh, yeah, I got inspired from science fiction and comic books,
Mm.
other style. medium for my projects, but actually I create these projects myself after reading these science articles monthly or weekly.
Mm.
I want to solve this practical problem with my own perspective. Then when I rehearse this project in my mind, how should it look? How should it behave? Then I want to add, oh, this project use ionizing radiation, so maybe I should add Hulk here.
I can imagine Spider-Man using this as well, like, maybe he wouldn't have gotten bitten by that spider if he had had this.
Yeah,
But,
actually I thought Spider-Man also first, but since Hulk is very easy to print in only
ah,
green, I choose that because it's very hard to print if you are dyeing them. It's very hard to print
mm,
multicolored objects in 3D printers.
that's a good point. Cool. So tell us about this project. Why would food be irradiated in the first place, and what can you do when you detect that?
Of course. First of all, I want to clarify that I do not claim irradiation, applying ionizing radiation to foods make them radioactive, or you can use this project to detect their radiation levels after purchasing them to grocery stores. I do not
Mm.
claim them uh, because I saw some comments like that on Reddit or other platforms.
Uh-huh.
they they think I created these projects for the directly products you bought from grocery stores. No, I did
Mm.
not do that. Actually, I inspired this project from the news I saw in my country, especially post-COVID, because they applied lots of different treatments for their foods and to make them sanitize or make them COVID free. They claim that actually, and they are very harmful for human nature. Their
Mm.
techniques and what they use. When they confronted about it, they always said the government doesn't incentivize us to improve our techniques or support us to or regulate us to improve our techniques on food sanitization,
Mm.
and they talk about it is very expensive process. So I thought maybe it's not that expensive. I create a simple practical projects with you can find under maybe $100 and adding machine learning to their techniques. So I can show it is not actually that hard. So
Cool.
I can help this small business in the food industry to improve their treatment methods with machine learning. So
Yeah.
it's a proof of concept project. I just try to add machine learning their sanitization processes and show them it is can be done under $100.
Cool. So, yeah, how did you manage to do that? What does this project consist of?
First of all, detect ionizing radiation, you need a Geiger counter,
Mhm.
and DFRobot sent me a Geiger counter. Actually, DFRobot sponsored all of these products in this project. Uh, First, I decided to use an Beadle ESP32 to run to this project because it's very budget friendly and cheap, also small for prototyping processes. I created this project as compact as possible, so I tried to
Mm.
use a Beadle board from the F-Robot. Also, actually, my model is here again.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Since I wanted to create this 3D printed case as compact as possible, I decided to use the Beadle board here. It is Beadle ESP32
Mm.
C3. Since it's a RISC-V, based on a RISC-V processor, it can run models, collect data, also provides IoT, internet Wi-Fi connectivity and BLE connectivity. So first of all, this needed to collect data to create this project. So I taught three classes. First of all, adding three classes. Regulated, it means its ionizing radiation levels conforms with the health and safety regulations.
Mm.
Unsafe, second class unsafe, it means that it's not regulate. It is considerably okay, but not harmful. Then last class hazardous, it means it is completely they applied completely wrong amount of ionizing radiation to the food.
Mm.
So first of all, again, I collected a data set to train my model. Again, I added three buttons here for each class to collect
Haha.
data. I tried it is here the Geiger counter.
Mhm.
I collected first of all, actually I needed to apply ionizing radiation to the foods to collect data, but I do not have the right equipment to apply ionizing radiation to foods in my home. So I thought I made a research about it and thought I can use the sun rays directly. If you can use
Huh?
sun, yeah, I leave the food products on the sun for a
Huh?
estimated period of times, and I can explain a little bit detail. Uh, when when you apply ionizing radiation to foods or some
Mhm.
object, its its outer shell becomes excited in physics with excitation. Its
Mhm.
electrons move fast and get energized, and also it started to emit ionizing radiation after applying the ionizing radiations to the objects. And
Uh-huh.
ionizing radiation, I mean gamma rays, electron beams, or X-rays. But since sun rays include these rays, you can use it to just simulate the
That's
effect
really cool.
for a split second. Just, yani, yes, actually, it doesn't make the food itself radioactive and make it continuously emit ionizing radiation after the application process. It's just a split second. So I thought maybe I made a research and I learned I can simulate this process with the sun rays. So
Mm.
for estimated times on in the midday, actually in the midday for sun rays are perpendicular to the plane. I
Right.
I left them for 15 minutes for regulated, 35 minutes for unsafe, and more than 50 minutes for the hazardous class.
Mhm.
Then I started to collect data with the Geiger counter. But then I realized something. Only collecting data with the Geiger content left me with a big data cluster. Model cannot
Mm.
my model cannot separate any of the collected data because it is not giving them enough input. So
Right.
I thought what should I use to separate the food products to give my model more edge to detect these different types of products. So I thought adding weights, it is here a weight scale. I thought adding it, and it is a removable also color sensor,
Mm.
visible light sensor actually. When I thought that I defined thresholds for each food product I am working on. For example, 50 to 60 grams for apples, uh, and they are red, and yellowish colors for some grains, and 10 or 30 grams between them. When I collected and added this additional data to my data set, the model the model easily can see, yeah, this is an apple under this threshold. And
Ah.
when it is apple, if this is the readed, this is the measured ionizing radiation level, it should be under unsafe, or
Mm.
this is a grain under in this threshold, and if this is the emitted ionizing radiation, it should be unsafe or regular. So it can easily detect. Actually, they are not directly the weight and visible light sensor. They are not directly relevant to the uh, data detection processes. They just I just added them to separate different foods.
Yeah. So what's
types.
safe for an apple of a certain weight might not be safe in a certain amount of grain that's, like, smaller, like, the same amount of radiation in a smaller amount of food means that there's more overall. That makes total sense.
Uh,
You've got this
Also,
wonderful. Oh, yeah.
it's a proof of concept project, so I need to add this. But if you're working on this project or collect data more than maybe 3 years, 4 years, you can maybe do that with one single input. But since I am
Mm,
working on this project for probably 3 months, I need to add this additional value. Oh, and it worked. It
right.
really worked.
So I've gotta ask, if you go outside and, like, just soak up some sun rays, like, if I go and tan outside or whatever, I don't know, go to the park, and then I come in and stick my hand in the machine, will it be able to, like, tell how detect the ionizing radiation coming off of my hand?
Probably not, because it only works for a
Mm.
split second.
Ah, yeah, right.
You really, really need to. Maybe you can have a Jagger counter near you. You can definitely read it, but it
Might
works
have to
only a
take it
split
outside.
second. Yeah, because it
So,
only works for split seconds, not for much.
because I'm not actually emitting radiation, it's just that, like, my skin's absorbed some and then it, like, for a
Y-
moment, it, like, emits it after I come
Yeah,
inside?
yeah, just excites the outer shell.
Right.
The electrons here excites them. In physics, it means excitation. They got
Mhm.
energy and they're nowhere to go. So the outer shell uh, discards them outside, and also it become ionizing radiation. Can be
Mm.
read by the Geiger counter, but it doesn't make the food itself radioactive.
Right.
So it keep
Thankfully.
continuously. Yeah, yeah. So it's otherwise it's keep continuously emit ionizing radiation, and you can detect it whenever you want.
There's some really amazing old ads, there's some amazing old advertisements for when they first started, irradiating food. I love this, but now it's such a common practice because it,
Yeah, actually, I share some of my projects on Reddit and also some other social media platforms. When they
uh-huh.
see just the title of the project, they thought I am promoting these thought processes that food irradiation makes food radioactive, and lots of comments. They sent lots of comments about it. What did you share this project and otherwise? So I wanted to add the comment in the beginning as a disclaimer. I do not in any way I do not say that food irradiation makes food radioactive.
Right. Cool. So, oh yeah, there's another thing that I love about this project, which is that you made a web interface for it. Can you tell us about this as well?
Yeah, of course. Uh, When I started to work again this BDIL ESP32 board, I thought collecting data processes should be IoT based. Yeah, on I can collect it on Wi-Fi. So
Mm,
also I have a background in designing some applications in HTML and PHP, and I love adding these applications to the project. So when some uh, person try to imitate or replicate my project to solve their problems, they can download the application and uh, install on their Raspberry Pi or other computers and
mm,
collect data without using any additional information. So I love to create these applications from scratch. I designed this application from scratch in HTML and PHP.
cool. So tell us about your background. You're obviously a very prolific hardware creator now. How did you pick up these skills? How did you get excited about it in the first place?
Yeah. I am I was always interested in electronics and creating projects. Uh,
Mm,
I joined lots of competitions and different contests in middle school and high school. I always loved creating electronics, but I only do that. I only do projects based on pneumatics or like physics experiments. I did not know anything about coding or programming back then.
mm,
And I always loved working on working on to solve some pro- problems worldwide, such as protecting animals or sea life. that
Yeah.
creating practical solutions. But my favorite subject was physics. I always liked creating projects, physics projects,
Mm.
and like joining physics competitions, etc. So I thought maybe I should graduate from physics. So I started to graduate from physics and continue that for 2 years. Then I didn't like it to in college to because they did not give me the free area to create my projects. There always some
Mm.
assignment. There always some.
Right.
There's always someone else's. Actually, you always work on someone else's projects
Right.
instead of your projects. And I am in nature an introvert person, so I am not at good at. I am not also good at working with groups or
Oh,
I.
yeah. That's real.
Yeah, I always like to work alone and manage my projects from start to finish.
That's very Batman of you.
Thanks. And I have also OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. So I, when I start a project, I do not feel relaxed until I finish that project.
Mm.
So I I was reading actually a autobiography of Nikola Tesla in
Mm.
university. So uh, he uh, defined their the scientists in their age like independent researchers. They funded from the government or some brands to create their ideas to solve problems. And this the notion of the independent researchers really perplexed me. I starstruck by the idea. Wow, I thought it's a very good thing to do that in being independent and creating your
Yeah.
ideas and getting funded by just your ideas. Actually, he was defining the maker community now,
Yeah.
basically. So I dropped out physics. I dropped out college from graduating physics, and I started to work on improving myself, my skills to achieve what I wanted to achieve. First of all, my English was very bad, very, very bad. I couldn't even write a paragraph or essay, anything. I didn't understand l- listening, speaking very well. So I thought first of all, I should improve myself on that regard if I want to achieve this independent researcher kind of idea.
Wow.
And I didn't know about, as I said, programming or coding or electronic boards. So I thought I should create projects and learn coding first of all. Then then I started to learn HTML, PHP, JavaScript for web based development and created my blog. I have a blog, but I do not use it very often. Just I share some projects, but and articles, but I am not promoting it very well. I
Okay.
just I am just using it to test my skills, just
Mm.
experimenting on the site, trying different things or different coding methods to learn them. I started that, so then I thought I should share my projects and create my portfolio, showcase my projects if I want to reach more people. Then I started to search some maker communities. Where can I put my projects, show people? Then I came up with Hackster. Hackster, I really like when I first saw Hackster because they are brands, individual people's groups, all of they're here and communicating each other. So I thought I should be
Mm.
there. I should be there and publish my projects on on platforms like Hackster to communicate with brands and other like-minded people like me, so I can talk about that, get ideas, or share my knowledge with them. Also, I can easily, in that way, communicate with the brands. I started
Mm.
to do that. Uh, it, I am doing this for 5 years now. This creating projects and publishing them. In my first 2 years, I must say I lived at subsistence at minimum wage.
Mhm.
I I use my freelance web development skills to support myself and afford my needs and this project products to create projects. Then yes, you can see my old projects are very basic because
Yeah.
I couldn't reach the more expensive or new products
Mm.
very easily back then. After making these projects, but I was really hardworking. I Even if the products are basic, I try to use pushing their limits and make the best of them to show their skills and to show my ideas. I have these later project ideas. Some of them I always taught them back then to create them, but I didn't reach since I didn't reach the accurate products.
Mm.
I take notes, created my designs, and waited for to reaching right products. After that,
Mhm.
after 2 years, I started to get some offers from brands to sponsor me, send me some products to make me try. Then I started to work the sponsored products to create them, make them different ways. If for instance, this Beetle ESP32 board actually promoted for IoT applications, but since I read its specifications, I thought I can use it for machine learning. So I added this machine learning. I like to be prolific and versatile while using these products. I always like to look them in different perspective and use them in different areas, machine learning, object
Mm.
detection, or IoT applications. This Now I have sponsored by DF Robot, Seed Studio, PCB Way also. You can see PCB my PCB designs.
Nice.
Creality. I am working with Creality. They are a 3D printing firm. They sent me my 3D printers to try them and create my projects. And also recently I have joined Edgeimpulse as an ambassador.
Nice.
I am also working with them. Now I earn more than enough, so I think I am starting to reaching my point.
I love it. What a story. Yeah, and you can really see from the start where you're really working with what you had on hand with these boards and things and cardboard boxes and stuff, and then you look at this new one and you're like, you have everything. I actually love looking at this project because you share what it looks like all laid out on this cutting mat, which we don't always get to see. Sometimes we just see the finished product, but you can really see every stage of the process and then everything laid out on this
Yeah,
with the
I really
paper and
love
stuff.
to approach my projects like research papers. I
Mm,
start them from zero. I document all my processes, how I created these all my steps. Then
mm.
when I writing my full project tutorial, I like to show every steps, designing, wiring, all of them. So if maybe some people do not have to have all the information in this tutorial, but I want them to create these projects even if they don't know something about it.
Nice. And that's so useful when it comes to real world, like, I mean, the other projects are definitely also useful, but, like, water pollution being such a global problem that, a lot of people are trying to, like I think a lot of people right now are motivated to try and build things to help, stave off climate change, to help us cope with the changes going on in the world, and help everyone, live a better life on Earth, and so projects like this, the fact that you're sharing all your designs and making them accessible for people who don't necessarily have all the resources or don't necessarily know in depth about all these topics, I think is amazing. And you do so much research, it sounds like, from reading research papers that goes directly into your projects. I love that.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, as I said, I have subscriptions to some science magazines, and I
Uh-huh.
read monthly to learn what are the trends in science research. And I like to, if I see a science paper, I thought I can use it to create a project, I immediately take notes and start to work on this project and add them in Hackster. All I also I also add them on references to my projects, so people can read them also.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, I haven't noticed that. Is it down here? Oh, yes, references. This is
Yeah,
so cool. Oh, there's, I love I love doing hackathons, but there's a tendency for people to sort of just come up with an idea and start implementing it without consulting any research or looking up prior art or figuring out if someone's figured out actually science behind this and just sort of it's a great creative exercise, but it's not always something that's truly useful and informed. And the fact that like you're almost this conduit from the scientific community to the maker community, showing people like what's needed and how to build it.
Since I have a background in physics, I I took some of the methods and thought processes in physics and add them my maker career, I suppose.
That's wonderful. So yeah, more references. This is the one for the food irradiation. This is the one for water pollution.
I always try to add references to projects to show them what the information come from, because it easily can be misinterpreted or otherwise.
Right. I've
I
got
always like to add main source so people can easily read it, and maybe they create a different project with that source, different than mine.
yeah, I've got one project that people always comment on and say, you know, you can't put blue light in your eyes, and the answer is that you can, but under very specific circumstances. And so I tried to put like, you know, references to the sources that I was using there, but your bibliographies here are so clear that I've got to maybe I'll start copying your model here and use an actual
Of
references
course. Yeah.
section so people can easily find what I'm talking about. This is really cool. So before we wrap up here, I know that you were excited to share some stuff about new projects that you have coming up. Can you tell us what you're working on?
Of course. For now, I am working on 3 different projects. I
Mhm.
will share them on Hackster. On my first project, it is not fully finished yet, but I am making a remote Bluetooth low energy based remote lamp. I did
Mm,
2 previous versions of them and published them on my Hackster account, remote lamp. I
mhm.
am trying a different version, but this time it is Star Wars inspired.
Ah,
I created a Millennium Falcon
ah!
PCB. It is it will come probably next week, but uh, it's breadboard this year. This project is
Wow!
it's very complicated project. I also use an e-paper screen for this project, since I am using the previous remote lab model in my room, and I after using for a long time I realized that adding a LCD screen is a very bad idea, because it always even when I turn off the lights, it's always stay opens when
Oh
I
no!
when I designed that it in that way. So in this project, I added a e-paper screen, so
Mm,
it doesn't make your eyes tired or in any other ways. Or this project is based on Arduino 33
mhm.
So also
I
I
love those
created
ones.
a yeah, they are very powerful boards and very useful.
That's so small.
I also I also created a mobile application for this project, uh, Android application using MIT App Inventor, so it can easily be controlled by the mobile application.
Nice. Is this a previous version of this?
Yeah, this is I
Cool.
yeah yeah, but I used in this project a flower pot. It's a flower pot.
Oh
Since
yeah.
I since I did not have a 3D printer back then,
Mm,
I just use a flower pot and edit the fonts
that's kind of
on
brilliant
their
though.
sites. You can see my PCB here, but it's really basic, just a rectangular shape.
Uh-huh.
Now, because I did not have much experience in PCB designing back then, I
Mm.
improved myself. Yeah, LCD screen, very bad idea. Very bad
Um,
idea.
what do you use when you're making PCBs and 3D printers? What kind of software do you use for those?
I use for PCB designing. I use KiCad,
Mm,
mainly KiCad. Since it's open source, it lets you modify their source code. For 3D printing, I use uh, Autodesk Fusion 360, and for slicing, FDM Paradigms Ultimator Cura, and for resin 3D printers, I use Creality's their own. They have a official software. I use their own software out of the
cool.
box. So
Awesome. I
for
love KiCad as well. It's open source all the way.
and for this Star Wars project, I am working on again some 3D printed models to add them. like I add Hulk to my IoT
Yes.
printer. For I printed a golden Mandalorian.
Ah, yes! Oh, that's beautiful. What kind of filament is that?
It is rainbow, silk rainbow,
I was gonna say, it looks a
sun.
little bit more, pinkish at the bottom and more gold at the top,
Yeah,
like a rose gold too.
it's called rainbow PLA 3D printer, silk rainbow 3D
Mm,
PLA filament. So it's have different shades of color, and also in that way it adds the little tinge of the back of the model or the front. It's a different color because
nice.
when it prints, it's yeah, yeah, exactly this product. When you print some model, it's automatically changes the color shades, and when it pads different colors, it add this color tinges on the model, and it's very beautiful under the lighting also.
That is very
Uh,
pretty.
and I also, when printing Mandalorian, I also added a little Grogu baby Yoda.
Ah! Yes! That's a cool color too.
Yeah, I want to add that to the remote lab design. Maybe I am just trying them. Maybe I did not add all of them, but just trying to see how it's if it is work or not work on the finished model. I also have a RTD2 model here. Then I and I am working. I think for more than 4 months. This my next project. It will be on Hackster very soon, probably August. Before
Mm,
August ends. This project, I again, it's a practical SDG project, Sustainable Development Goals projects. I
mm,
wanted to focus on forest fires and preventing forest fires, especially last year in my country. There are lots of forest fires, and it affects
oh.
animals and other creatures, also humans. Very bad
Yeah.
agricultural areas. So I thought maybe preventing these forest fires, uh, especially most of the forest fires are caused by human mistakes, and uh, such as discarded cigarette butts on the forest or some natural areas. So I thought maybe I should create. I can create a autonomous robot to detect these cigarette butts or little burning debris on the forest. It can extinguish this little small burning debris and
Wow.
collect the cigarette butts and adds its container to remove them autonomously. Uh, Model, I think it's a little bit heavy.
Eh.
This is this is the project model.
Oh, wow.
It
That's really cool
I
looking.
Yeah, it has a camera on the front, and the collecting gripper arm is here. It will have a fun here to extinguish the burning debris. Also, it is autonomous and can move in the area. I am again using a DF robot IR ER temperature sensor
Mm,
to detect burning debris. Also, I added a Arduino MKR 1040 to for SMS connection. When it detects fire, it can SMS the send an SMS to the person and notify them there's a fire or there's this, improperly discarded cigarettes on the area. I am working
mm,
on this. Uh, I think I will publish it before the end of August. I am using, by the way, this is a pro. This is this chassis and
mm.
the models are from Easy Robot.
Oh, yeah.
They sent me the products for probably 5 months ago. I am working on it.
I like how you have lots of projects going in parallel. Like, I feel like I work this way as well, but I come across some people who are like, yes, I will do this project, and then I'll do that project, and then I'll do that project, and my brain does not work that way. So it's very comforting that you also do such amazing work and you're also working on like multiple things at the same time.
Actually, I can talk about one. Maybe there's a contest held by Viznet now.
Mm.
They Vizfi 360E. VB Pico, their board. I received it yesterday. I am working on with this board. It is a RP2040 based board, but
Hmm,
it has a WizNet Wi-Fi module, so it provides Wi-Fi connectivity.
cool.
Actually, this is, if you look at this, it is exactly a Pico replica, but
Yeah.
they added a ESP01 like module here to make it more to make it Wi-Fi connectivity, make it able Wi-Fi connectivity.
Is it this one?
Yes.
Aha, cool. So we'll drop that link in the description to this video. Also, everyone, you'll be able to follow Kutluhan on Hackster. Just scroll down and click the link. And then also on Twitter. And those are the best places to follow you?
Yeah, they are. I actively using Twitter and my Hackster account. I
Perfect.
always use my Hackster account as my portfolio and showcase. I send brands and different firms directly my Hackster account and say them you can see all of my work here.
Love it. And then hopefully you'll get lots more awesome sponsorships that you'll be able to build more of your dreams. I love that, yeah, you're coming on just as you're sort of reaching this point where you can self-sustain and like build whatever you want based on these sponsorships that you're getting. It's such a cool story. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for joining us.
thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, what a pleasure. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you next week with another Hackster Cafe. Stay tuned and of course subscribe so that you catch all of those. And hack on.